computer has. Good. So it looks like it's 6:01 and let's call the meeting to order. It's really wonderful to see so many people here. There are a couple of CAC members that won't be able to attend tonight. Michael O'Hara and also David Konigsberg. Both had family obligations that they couldn't change. So here we are, and is, oh good, Vanessa's here. Good. Now, Linda, I didn't receive the minutes in advance. Did I miss something?
No.
Carla Sadov's here too. Oh, okay. So we'll do.
Lost.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll find them.
It was holiday season. That happens. So we won't worry about minutes from the last meeting. Does anybody on the CAC committee have anything that progress reports that you wanted to make about either climate smart communities or any of the ongoing projects?
No, I don't have much to report on. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I think with the holidays that it's all, we took a little time off and now we can get started again. One of the things that's still up in the air, just so that I wanted to talk about our membership a little bit before we get into our main topic. And that is that David Konigsberg, Tom O'Dowd, and I, we're actually not on the CAC anymore after the 31st of December. So not officially, we put in a request to be renamed to the CAC. We hope that that'll happen, but so there is, this is the meeting of, I guess, last year's CAC and 4 members that are continuing on the CAC. So it's really, we're not going to get heavily into a lot of different topics. It's a great time to discuss what goals would be for 2022. And that's the agenda for the evening. I had
Tom
asked,
is raising his hand, Hillary.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, I need to set this up so that I can see everybody. Thank you.
Just as a point of information, it doesn't, excuse me, I have a terrible cold.
Sorry.
That you're not officially on doesn't really matter as long as you're not voting on anything.
Oh,
And a resolution will go through in next week's meeting.
okay.
To reappoint everybody who wants to be reappointed.
Okay, great. And you said Dominic, did you have something you wanted to say, or did you, Tom, did you mean Tom O'Dowd? You meant Tom DiPietro when you said?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So that's good to know. Well, we wouldn't be voting on anything. The other thing before we get into talking about the different things that we've all been thinking about as goals going forward in 2022, Vanessa came up with a good idea, and that was to sort of introduce the CAC members ourselves to everybody who's on this call. Just briefly, the questions that she was interested in hearing were, Vanessa, you can speak for yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm new to the CAC, so I just wanted to have a little icebreaker moment, just to answer some questions so that I can get to know everyone on the team and the public can get to know us as well. So the 2 questions I have to briefly answer are, who was someone in your life who introduced you to nature, who encouraged you to look closer? And the second question is, what is your why, your reason, your motivation for being a part of the CAC? I think it's important to recognize the people who taught us, who came before us and who encouraged us to look closer, and then also looking forward. So because I asked these questions, I'll go first, and then I will pass it on to someone else on the board. And if the public wants to join too, I'm okay with that. I don't know if that's allowed, but all right. So someone who introduced me to nature. I grew up in New Jersey, didn't have a lot of exposure to nature, lived in the suburbs, but my mom had a friend, this woman, Edith. She was from Trinidad, this tiny little lady who could just work for hours and hours in a garden. And she would construct these worlds that were beautiful with upcycled things, old recycled boots and flowers growing out of them and all kinds of things. She ate everything in her diet from her garden or from her farm. She sewed all her own clothes. So she was just really someone who taught me, wow, you can really live off the land. And my reason for being part of the CAC, when I think ahead into the future, I think of two things that are really important if we have a future. And one of them are kids. And the other one is the environment. So, that's kind of my area of specialty in being on the CAC is I work with kids and I'm really interested in environmental education. Future. So I will pass it over to Tom O'Dowd.
Thank you, Vanessa. Hi, everybody. My name's Tom O'Dowd. I'm currently a middle school science teacher, and I'm a lifelong environmental and outdoor educator like Vanessa. And I guess I've been inspired by my parents who raised me in the New Paltz, New York area, running around the woods and the rocks. And I am here to protect the plants, animals, ecosystems for their own sake, for our sakes. And also I consider, parks and paths and things part of protecting our natural resources. Thank you. I will pass it to Hillary.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So I would say that we grew up, my parents were both very outdoorsy, sporty people, but not necessarily so. They were both graduated in animal husbandry and agriculture. And so we were always outdoors. We grew up mostly in Portland, Oregon. And I would say, Tom, a big influence was a middle school natural science teacher that really got us out in the woods and looking at what's under leaves, what's going on in the earth, on the earth, and up in the sky. So it makes our educators make a big difference. The reason I'm on the CAC, I love Hudson. I love the outdoor world. I love Hudson, and I think that there are so many things that are possible that will make Hudson better and for the environment, and the environment better for Hudsonians, whether it's controlling stormwater runoff, if it's improving Oakdale, North Bay, South Bay, Waterfront Park area. And, there's so many opportunities, but it's for the next generation and to cultivate stewards for the next generation. I think that's really a big angle. I will pass it to Rich Volo.
Hi, I grew up out near Bellport, Long Island, and there was a science teacher and ornithologist who started a group of students, and we would meet regularly, and we would go up to, this was the mid 80s, so we lobbied in Albany for the bottle bill as high school students. And what else? And then we protested the Shoreham nuclear power plant. We, saved the Pine Barrens, and I met Mario Cuomo then when out there in the mid 80s. And I did that for a while. And when I went to NYU, there wasn't any recycling program happening then. So I don't know if you remember Raynor Judd, who used to live here in Hudson, but Raynor Judd and I set up a recycling program at NYU to recycle things. And then I just been doing environmental stuff for a while. When I was alderman, I got the grants for the electric car charging stations. We passed a law to increase the fines and penalties for people who leave their pets in cars in adverse conditions. We signed up with a local solar farm that is saving us money. And what else? I've been vegetarian for over, I don't know, 20, 30 years now. So, and if I wasn't doing this, I would be rescuing more dogs. That's it. Pass to Britt.
Thanks, Rich. I was introduced to nature because I'm like a total woodland fairy baby. My parents grow all their food. They knit all of my sweaters. So I was raised by hippies in the woods that don't have cell phones or technology and grew up without television. So you get pretty attuned to reading the patterns of nature and understanding what it is to be a person of nature. But I then moved to New York City, and I'm also a fighting violet and went to NYU and love New York City, and ultimately had an incredible disconnect between living in an urban environment coming from nature. So I got my master's degree from Columbia University, and I am a licensed landscape architect, and I am a huge advocate for being a steward for environmental causes. And the reason I joined the CAC is I feel that Hudson does not have enough trees. And that's what led me to a wonderful friendship with Hillary. And now there's a host of other initiatives that I love helping on at Hudson's CAC. So thank you. I'm going to pass to the lovely Marie.
Hi, so I kind of grew up in this area, so I think all of us on this committee have spent a lot of time in the outdoors, it seems. But I don't think I knew what nature was or even how to talk about it until I was introduced to Arna Nath, who wrote a book called Deep Ecology, which really kind of was pretty profound, and decided that I was going to pursue a greater understanding of what ecology means, and did work, both undergrad and grad work, in the field of environmental science. Spent about 20 years in community relations in a variety of different settings in the environmental field. And I'm here because I love living in Hudson, and it seems a natural fit. And yeah, there's lots of great stuff I think that this board has done and will do. So I wanted to be a part of that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's everyone, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's everybody that could attend tonight. Yes, thank you very much. Maybe, does anybody from the public have any questions of any of us? Okay. So just briefly, my tiny report on the forestry grant. We were to have the management plan first draft from the forester by the end of last month, December. Unfortunately, his entire household got COVID, and he asked, we just shifted everything to just get well, get healthy, and get the kids back in school or whatever you're doing. And we'll get to it in the first quarter of this year. I did write the last quarter's report for the DEC, and that seems to have not been rejected by Grants Gateway or the DEC. So we're up to date on that. I had asked everybody on the CAC to come up with what they would like to see us accomplish in 2022. So we can start with anybody, and Also, if there are other ideas that you don't hear us come up with, anybody who is in attendance, we'd love to hear from you. Britt, you wanted to say something?
I wanted to start because I have an idea I want to like get cooking. Is I would love for next year or this year that we can focus on getting a parks department started in Hudson for several reasons. I think that we have some like under-maintained, in the best possible phrasing, public parks. Are from a horticultural level, it's not good. And I think it's unreasonable to expect the crew that possibly is trained in waste management and hardscape repairs to also be the same crew that, handles the horticulture and the maintenance of plants. I think it will signal that caring about the environment is a priority for Hudson. So I think it's really important to also try and get some funding towards this, because some of the initiatives we were trying last year of street trees and Arbor Day, they're really kneecapped without any funding or any department to maintain and carry this out. We can't rely on volunteers to clean up the parks and plant them. We can't rely on volunteers or homeowners to plant the street trees necessarily. So I think like if we had a dedicated department to this, it would possibly advance some of our goals quicker. I also think from brief conversations that we've had with Rob Perry that, he's pretty overextended, and to add more to his plate might be a challenge, which I think signals maybe another reason to have a breakout department that may be a little bit more of like a political ball to handle. So I, punt it to council members and Tom to answer that. But I think a parks department is incredibly important. So that would be a goal that I think the CAC should support and the council should hopefully take up. Scene, questions or comments?
Or additions?
I think that's a great idea. And, DPW does so much work right now, but it'd be great to have a parks department which is structured so that, there's some sort of continuity and, and then just more structure about how to actually care for the parks that we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I would add to that is I think that we need a tree ordinance to be passed by the Common Council, and because I can count 3 trees that I saw were cut down in this last week that were healthy street trees. On Union Street, another one, a big one, it was a Norway maple, but still, it was a thriving tree up on Worth that was cut down. It was a street tree. And with the way global warming is and climate change, we need those trees working for us. I don't need to convince people on the CAC, but those trees do a lot of work in carbon sequestration, in cooling houses and streets, in soaking up rainwater, and creating habitat. So anyway, a tree ordinance, and if we can have a tree board that could review requests, that within the tree ordinance, we would make it so that people had to request permission to remove a tree, and especially a tree in the public realm, a street tree, and a tree board could review that and figure out what the right thing to do is. Sometimes there are very good reasons to remove trees. And so we need people that are dedicated to reviewing those things. And until that happens, I think the CAC would be happy to review any street tree requests for trees that people want to take down or want to plant. We're happy to engage with anybody on that. So I would put the tree ordinance and into the Parks Department category, but Does anybody else have ideas of what they, oh, I see that Marie wants to say something and also Maya is interested. Maya, do you want to?
Let Marie go, please. She was up first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just really quickly, I was just gonna say, linking that, I think if we say Parks Department, maybe we're not talking about a classic just about the parks, but maybe it can be a remit that's more dynamic than that and deals with street trees and what you might call, I don't know what you would call it, our our ecological resources, our trees, our
Yeah,
plants,
absolutely.
our hedges, so it's more than just parks in that classic sense, but yeah. So that would include the tree, the tree ordinance, they could, anyway.
Yeah,
Enough said.
absolutely. I'm seeing it as, the department manages our open space and our program spaces as well. And to me, street trees and sidewalks are all part of a parks department.
Right, and the cemetery.
And cemetery, yeah, absolutely.
Maya?
Yeah, hi. My name's Maya Reed. It's nice to meet people that I haven't met yet. And thank you for serving on this committee. I am a resident of Hudson, but I'm also the youth commissioner. And it's something that I have had on my list for a few years now as well, that a Parks and Rec department kind of thing would really support our city and again, take off of the plate from DPW and also the Hudson Youth Department, some of the necessary under and oversight of our parks, especially since our parks are so varying in what they are, to have somebody who's managing and understands the different kinds of parks. So we have like the Warren Street Park, pocket parks and the ones down at Promenade Hill. But then we also have like Oakdale Park, as you said, the beauty of that is a natural resource and also an educational space. So again, partnering with the youth department in this way, would be incredible. I think that it would open up a lot of also oversight and management of how the public uses the park and how, they get licenses or whatever to have a party or a gathering. And so it's quite a complex and festivals and things like that. So there's a lot that Parks and Rec department can oversee that would alleviate that responsibility from other people who are already doing a lot in the community. That's, I think, all I have to say on that right now.
Well, and Maya, to piggyback of one thing you mentioned, because you work with children, is a lot of the playgrounds in Hudson that are public are not code compliant. So at the moment, Hudson is at an incredible liability for lawsuit. And so I would see that the Parks Department would, have some funding to replace the out of date play equipment and the safety surfacing that's no longer compliant with 2022 safety standards.
Agreed. And also working with people who might want to come in and work on very specific park renovation projects. It could be very interesting. So it's something that, again, DPW doesn't necessarily have time to replace a broken swing. And I visit these parks a lot with kids that I work with. And I have a long list of things, but I also understand there's no office or department or person I can really go to have conversations that are in keeping and truly understood in that realm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tom O'Dowd, do you want to add something that you would see as a goal for 2022?
Frankly, because prices are pushing me out of Hudson, and I'm not even sure. I wasn't even sure if I was going to be reappointed. My brain has not been in CAC land, but I know at least a few people have talked about the missing piece of an updated comprehensive plan for the city. I don't know if that's our role as CAC, but certainly we've talked about, what are the goals of the population of Hudson for its natural areas and parks, and how do you show the goals of a community is partially through a plan for that community going forward. And a big part of comprehensive plans are parks and natural areas, paths, and things like that. So that's something I think is worth looking more into and being a big part of as the CAC is an updated comprehensive plan. I might be wrong, but I think the last time it was updated was in 2002. So I think we need a vision as a city for where we want to go with things, so that we have a systematic way of deciding on projects instead of, starting with a project and then starting fresh on a discussion of the merits of that project.
Right. We had started a list amongst ourselves. Vanessa also, I think that it was something that Vanessa brought up, and we had started a list of things that we as a CAC see as important to cover in a comprehensive plan. And now that we're hunkered down for the duration of January and February, I think I'll resend that list to everybody on the CAC, and we just keep adding things to it that we think about, whether it's that a comprehensive plan has to rethink sidewalks and tree areas and rain gardens, or there's so many more things that or something like if a new building is being built, if it's a commercial building, then we would see that they should be considering some mitigation to climate change, which could be solar panels on their rooftop. It could be not paving an area, but putting in permeable pavers, or whatever it is. But all of those things that we would have on a wish list for a new comprehensive plan or an updated comprehensive plan, we need to pull that together, because I think that that is actually in our future, right, Tom DiPietro? That a comprehensive and updated.
Sorry, I don't have much of a voice tonight, but and I don't mean that metaphorically, I mean it quite literally.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, we did get a grant of $67,000 towards a comprehensive plan. So the challenge in the next couple of months is figuring out where to get the rest of the money to then issue an RFP for a comprehensive plan. So it's definitely, a high priority, and I hope we can get it done shortly, soon.
Good. Thank you. Sorry, I'll try not to.
It's okay. It's okay. But I did run out of breath just then.
Thanks, Tom. And I should just put for the record that I don't have an exact goal, but we as the CSC little subcommittee within the CAC should probably, I think we have general goals of taking strong steps toward the next certification level in CSC, but there is the CEC, and that can get us actual money. I've gotten a CEC credit for some of the other things we've already done that were low hanging fruit. And there's, the coordinator for CEC in the area is very helpful. So once again, not an exact, SMART goal right now, but maybe we want to get halfway toward silver status in the CSC and halfway toward the, I think, $10,000 pot of money, am I making that number up, from the CEC. So make progress on CSC and CEC.
Just in case somebody on this meeting doesn't know what the alphabet means, CSC and CEC, will you just explain what those mean?
Climate Smart Communities. Climate Smart Communities is a program that gives you points for doing various things to lower your climate impact as a city. And CEC is very similar. and they're just from different departments in the state. And we're just learning more and more about CEC this year, and it leads to more direct grant money. So it's exciting to learn more about it, but there's more to learn.
So Rich or Britt or Vanessa, do any of you want to?
And I guess I didn't say CEC is Clean Energy Community, so it's very specifically focused on energy. All right, over now.
I do have an idea in thinking about how do we get more young voices involved, and what are they thinking about? What are, it's really more so than mine and ours, it's their future. So how do we get their voices involved? What are their questions? What are their concerns? I'm just thinking maybe an Earth Day event. This year, Earth Day falls on a Friday, so why don't we, do a little public event? It is a couple days after Easter, I think. So like, we'll maybe check in COVID wise, pending COVID, pending everything. But it might be fun to do an outdoor public event where we do it at Bliss Towers, or, somewhere at Oakdale, somewhere where there's going to be a lot of kids. And we just have a good time and talk about the earth. Just an idea. That's kind of where my specialty is. So I'm happy to do a lot of outreach and coordinating for that, and thinking about a lot of activities, and you're wondering if there's any money behind it, or, things like that. And then I did also want to mention that there will be, Friends of Oakdale Lake will be collaborating with the youth department at Oakdale this year to have a series of monthly cleanups. So stay tuned for more information on that when it's not cold out.
Right.
That's my 2 cents.
Great. Rich or Marie?
Mine is really quick. I don't remember our list, but I remember it being extensive. And I think in the early part of this year, at least, my goal is for us to, and I would do legwork as well, and coordinate that, create that sort of connection between the CAC and the city council, introducing the council members to the CAC, our remit, and possibly, if possible, and I know that these things all require time and energy, but maybe even like a little monthly update on what we're doing, so that when issues come up that involve the council, that they're not surprises, and that we're sort of thinking ahead of what some of these issues are, and what some of the various ways that they could think about them. So that's really my big goal, is to have that sort of direct connect with the council and the mayor's office, and with the council president.
Yeah.
And other departments too, and other departments.
Right. I can't remember when it was or exactly why it dropped off, but there was a while there that I did do a monthly report and turn it in to the Common Council, just a little brief, not minutes, just like, these are the main topics we talked about this month, a 1-pager, and just to create awareness and to keep everybody apprised. And that dropped off. I think that is a good thing to continue doing. Yeah.
Hillary, I would be happy to work on that, so we can start that after this meeting.
I'm just running this meeting. I'm not necessarily chair anymore. But do it, yay. That would be great. That would be great. Rich.
Yeah, just to echo what Vanessa said, I've organized, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 events here in the city, and no one really stops you from doing anything. But you could just go ahead and do it. And I mean, you know, we planted 5 trees. We raised the money, we got around it, raised the money, planted 5 trees, and it can happen. So you just got to kind of like just do it. Even you know, the CEC, going back when I was older, when we got 4 of the high impact items passed. And, you know, that means having, you know, talking to Craig Haig and getting them to go to a you know, a new training, getting a uniform solar permit pass. A lot of these things, you just got to like walk into someone's office and actually just do it and sit down with them until it gets done, and follow up with things. So, you know, the Climate Smart Communities, which is run by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, you know, they really do have like this whole big map and plan of different action items, and then funding is available once you do them. It's just a matter of following it. It is a ton of work, and I have to be honest, like I've been remiss myself the past month or so, but you know, it's a ton of work that is already outlined for us. So I would just myself just continue working on those.
Great. I think that if I added a goal for us to look at, it would be to continue, I'm sorry, I have a dog that's complaining over here, to continue looking for solar energy capture solutions in the city, and for really pushing for clean energy. And I would like to work with the city in any way that the CAC can help in either seeking grants or research information, or finding out anything that we can do for the city to help on that, reducing fossil fuel use, reducing the city's electric bill. It sounds like the county is really being very assertive in getting probably land-based solar going in the county, that all residents of Hudson and all residents of the county would be able to be part of in community solar sort of way. If we can help the city reduce energy costs by finding other ways to get energy, whether it is, you know, solar panels on municipal buildings, or, you know, that part of land that we talked about earlier that is near the Charles William Park. I want us to continue on that and be involved in that and help in any way we can. Also, I do want to be part of working in an ongoing dialogue with the council, with City Hall, and with the CLC about the Star White House vision for North Bay and trails, and you know, start to piece together a long-term plan for how that could work out. So those would be 2 things that I wanted to see. When David called me and let me know that he couldn't be on the meeting tonight, he first said, "Give everybody my love and tell them I'm really sorry and Happy New Year." And then he said he wants to stay also on the seeking solar and alternative energy path, any work that he can do on that. So anyway, I think that we have great things here between continued work. This is what I wrote down. The Parks Department, I think that is definitely very important. Well, I'm not going to editorialize. I'm just going to say all of these things are important. The continued work with the Climate Smarts community, giving input for a comprehensive plan and doing anything we can to help produce language for a comprehensive plan, if that can help bring down costs, if we can do research or anything that can help create the comprehensive plan, I think that we could be a resource. Tree ordinance, get a tree ordinance on the books in Hudson. Maya added maybe not just Parks Department, but Parks and Rec Department. I think that's a really good thing to think through and see what we could do as a CAC along those lines. Earth Day celebration and Arbor Day celebration, I added to that. And really working together with the CAC. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm about to cough. Tom, did I get your thing over the Zoom? CAC, the council. And the other thing I think that I want to do, maybe somebody else would like to too, is start attending the county CAC, what's it called? The County Environmental Management Council, right. Start attending those meetings so that we can dovetail what we're doing with what they're doing, so that we know what they're doing. So I'd like to add that to the list. And we should all take a page out of Rich's playbook and just do things, because nobody stops you.
Linda, real quick, when is that next meeting? Do you happen to know, since the CEMC?
Yeah, it's the last Monday of the month. And I contacted them the last Monday of this month, and they were basically not interested in having a meeting on New Year's Eve or something. So,
That makes sense.
yeah. No, it wasn't New Year's Eve, but they didn't have it this month.
I think Mike is the city's representative.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I wasn't sure if he wanted to actually remain on the CAC. We have to talk, find that out. Yeah. Oh, that's right, Linda, you go to all those meetings too, don't you? Yeah, okay. Okay, does anybody from the public have anything they want to add or request or?
There's two hands there, Hillary.
Oh, I
Rebecca.
see. Okay, Nick?
I think Rebecca was first. I'll let Rebecca go first,
Okay.
if she wants to.
Well, sure.
Hi,
Hi.
Rebecca. Asked it.
Let me put my hand down. Hold on a minute. Can you hear me? I'm in a different place. Okay. So everything that you have on your agenda sounds awesome, and I just wanted to remind you of the blossoming of the waste reduction program that we put some time into last year, talking about ways to try to basically create awareness around plastic, like plastic reduction, use of plastic reduction. So I just hope that can still be something that the CAC will put time into. And I'm happy to help. And then also, I was just curious, I'm sorry if I missed this, whether, I forget if it was a CAC meeting or a different meeting where there was a conversation about an RFQ being developed for like the solar hardscape work. I think there was a conversation with Peter Bujano about him developing like a parallel RFQ. that was happening.
We had talked about that at the last meeting, that was a request, that we would really love to see that happen. So yes, I would put that in the category of anything that the CAC can do to help with an RFQ or an RFP or whatever it is, anything to do with solar or renewable energy. Yeah.
I'm sorry, can I just ask Rebecca, what is the plastic reduction? Is there I don't understand.
Oh,
I'm just not aware.
So that was an initiative that was being worked on to create, essentially create like a flyer to go out to restaurants and other food service businesses in the city that would talk about alternatives to single-use plastic, basically for takeout containers, pretty much. And so in talking about, I mean, originally it started as I wanted to try to just pass a law banning single-use plastic takeout containers, but then we sort of like backpedaled a little bit and decided instead it would make sense to approach it more from an informational perspective first. And try to, just basically talk about, biodegradable takeout containers. So there was a flyer being developed, and that's what that was. And part of that also, the reason I said waste reduction program is that I thought it was a really exciting possible collaboration with the county, like the transfer station people who could potentially be moved to try to develop a actual, what do they call them? The thing where you can compost, because most things that say compostable that are takeout containers aren't actually home compostable. They have to be brought to an actual high heat composting facility, and there's not a lot of them around. So anyway, those are the things we were talking about.
And Nick, I'll get right to you, but the flyer that Rebecca is talking about is actually right now in David's hand, David Konigsberg, and his wife is a graphic designer, and she was going to pull the last pieces together so that we would have this graphic thing to look at. Because of holidays and that she also runs a retail store, it just got backburnered, but I apologize, Rebecca, for not bringing that up. That is not something we want to drop. We want to continue that in 2022. At least I do. Nick? Nick, you want to unmute?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to say that this sounds like a great set of plans for the CAC for 2022. I think those are great ideas, things that I've been hoping for a long time. And so I'm excited to see the CAC pursue those goals. And I would like to throw out maybe a crazy idea that I've also wanted for a long time, but came back into my head when the conversation about a comprehensive plan came up, which is to think about while redoing the comprehensive plan is to redo the local waterfront revitalization plan, which for those who don't know, that is a program that comes from the federal government down through the states. And Hudson is one of the only waterfront communities in New York State that does not have an approved LWRP. We're way behind everyone else, and it's come up a few times, and it always meets demise one way or another. But it's a great planning document that can, I believe, be worked on with a comprehensive plan. while we were talking, I went and looked at the city budget, and there is $30,000 that has been getting passed down year after year, specifically for work on the LWRP. And I'll just quickly say that what's so great about getting an approved LWRP is once the state approves it, it goes through all the way to the federal government. And if there is an environmental issue or a zoning issue that you outlined in your local community LWRP, and whatever, a big corporation, somebody comes through and tries to do something else, instead of fighting it locally, you all of a sudden, and it's called out in your LWRP, you have backing from the state government and the federal government. And so it ends up being an incredibly powerful document legally for planning, zoning, environmental issues that I personally think would be a really important thing for the city to look at. And I know the Department of State really wants Hudson to do that. And so my crazy pitch for, while looking at the comprehensive plan, to also look into re-upping our LWRP, which was locally adopted but never state approved.
I
You're
would
here.
Yeah, definitely. I would
Yeah.
love to learn more about what the hangups are and what steps need to be taken, because it was near complete, as I understand, and there's some hangups or gaps or something that need to be filled in, and it would have to be reapproved by the Common Council again, I believe. and
Correct.
that's the State.
Correct. Yep.
I'd be happy to be part of that.
Me
Yep.
too.
I don't have to do it right now. I can give you the lowdown on it at some point and give you the full briefing from where it last left off.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to add?
I think we've done a pretty good job, but I think it's important to keep thinking about it, our natural resources for all people. And as Hudson gentrifies, gets more expensive, just keep a perspective on all the people who might benefit in myriad ways from a clean, healthy environment and open spaces. So that's just a general thought, but keep environmental justice in our minds with everything we do.
Good point. I think that's a good point. And actually, you know, that Environmental Justice Arbor Day grant that I aimed for and we did not get, we are still on a list with the Arbor Day Foundation for other grant opportunities for that environmental justice project. But Tom, I think you're right. We do need to always keep that in mind. Mhm. Well, if that's it for this evening, we can't adjourn and then vote. We can't vote on anything because we're not supposed to vote tonight. But does everybody want to adjourn or? Okay, well, Happy New Year's, everyone. I'm really glad to get back together. And
Thanks for being a great facilitator, Hillary.
Yes, thank you, Hillary.
I'm glad more people came.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Take care. Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.